everybody. So again, this is from my Wisconsin trip about a year and a half ago. So while I was in La Crosse, Wisconsin for work, I wanted to explore the area. It's been a long time since I've been that far to the Midwest. So I took a weekend trip down to the border between Iowa and Wisconsin. It was a ton, packed in about a day and a half, but I really enjoyed this experience. So I started by going to the Effigy Mounds in Iowa, Harper's Ferry, Iowa. And these mounds are over 1,500 years old, built by Native Americans in the area. And they were burial mounds. So actually, archaeologists found in these mounds bones and relics from Native Americans. As just a visitor, it's a little underwhelming just because, you're walking around and they're little just mounds in the earth. But if you get like a bird's eye view, if you look up images, you can see that these mounds are in different patterns. There's one called like the Little Bear Mound. I was still recovering from cancer at this time, so I was walking around was very hard for me. So it was a little steep in the beginning, and I didn't do all of the trails, but there was a nice overlook, and I spent about an hour of walking and had to take some breaks along the way. And then next, after all that walking, it's really the hills that get me, I needed a break. So I stopped in this small town called McGregor, and I went to Cafe McGregor, which is this cute little small town cafe. Had a great meal because I was so hungry. Unfortunately, Cafe McGregor is closed now, but still McGregor's a nice place in general of a town to get a drink or snack in the middle of your trip. And then, after that, which was the whole reason actually for this trip, was I went to the Wyalusing State Park in Wisconsin. And this state park, there were two things I really wanted to see. The first was the Sand Cave Trail. It's about a 2-mile walk, pretty flat, so it's easy for me. Not too busy. This is in May, so just beginning to be busy season, but still pretty chilly. In May, the average temperature is around 60 Fahrenheit, so still a little chilly, especially at nighttime for camping. So I was on the Sand Cave Trail. It leads to this beautiful, essentially sand cave, just caved out from water over time, and really love the colors, love the peacefulness. There were a few other hikers there, but not too many. And then I drove to another trail called the Bluff Trail. Wisconsin in that area has a ton of bluffs. You can research bluffs and that, but so I went to the Bluffs Trail, and there they have the Treasure Cave, which is really cool. It's like this tunnel that leads to this really small cave, and you're literally climbing through the tunnel, like on your hands and knees. You can't even go on your hands and knees. You're basically slithering through this tunnel of dirt and rock. It's like, almost like spelunking. Kind of scary. Being May, luckily there was like literally nobody there. So it's kind of creepy actually to be in this tunnel, like what if it collapses? But so it was a very much of an adventure for me. I do hear, like reading other blogs and stuff, that the Treasure Cave can be super busy because like you can literally only fit one person going one direction at a time. So if lots of people want to go, it's a real bottleneck. And there are some really steep steps that you have to go up to get there. So that was a little challenging, especially if there's a crowd. I don't know how people do it. But really enjoyed that experience. And that area of Wyalusing State Park has really pretty overlooks. So in total, I spent maybe 3 hours at Wyalusing. And then I went to my campsite at the Yellow River State Forest in Iowa. And this campsite, I was super excited because it was the first horse campground I've ever been to. So I don't have a horse, so I was pretty much the only one there without a horse. But this campground is meant for people who bring their horses and go, like on trails and stuff. It's a whole camping experience for them. I didn't realize, but horses really have personalities. It's like this group of people are going on a trail ride, and one horse was left back at the camp, and the horse was so upset it wasn't included, it got off its post and started chasing the other horses, and all these people had to run down and chase the horse down, get it back tied up. There's a whole scene, but it was really cute watching the horse just wanting to be included. At nighttime, I grilled some corn the Indian style way, which I love. I didn't put it right in the fire, but it's basically like grilled corn without the shuck, and get some lime juice, get some salt, so tasty. And I had some marshmallows, which is classic. And I also tried to make this banana boat dessert, which I've had before, but this time it just did not turn out well. Not entirely sure what I did wrong, but it just was a mess. Huge mess. But it was fun. You know, I love camp food, that kind of camp food. And I will say, so this whole trip was a solo trip, my first time solo camping. So that's why I felt more comfortable going to a campground. But, you know, you do get bored. Not gonna lie, sometimes, you know, solo traveling, you're by yourself. So here's some photos of proof that I was just bored, you know, taking photos of myself. But once the sun was starting to set, I wanted to go to one of the overlooks in the state park. So I drove to one of the overlooks, and this was also a bit of an adventure. It was a really steep road, not paved, in the dark. My car was like not doing well on the road at all. Like it just didn't have good enough traction, not enough power. I did make it, you know, no worries. Also, there's no cell service in this park. So everywhere, you know, when you're in a rural area, you need to do some planning to make sure you know where you are, you know how to get home, you know what you want to do, because everything's pretty far spread apart. You're not guaranteed to have cell service. But so I got this overlook, really nice, really relaxing. I enjoyed it. Went back to my tent. Was a very cold evening. I do understand why it's not as busy at this time of the year. And I didn't really plan super well for camping. I did bring my tent from Pennsylvania to Wisconsin. I drove, so I had my tent. I just took blankets from the hotel I was staying at, so I had very fancy blankets in my tent. And so this campground actually was like over $20 when you included all the fees, which is a little pricey from what I'm used to. In Pennsylvania, we do a lot of just trail camping for free, like on the Appalachian Trail. And actually, even the Wyalusing park was $11 to enter, where I'm also used to a lot of state parks being free. But either way, it was worth it for sure, and cheaper than our hotel, you know. Camping was a success. First time solo camping, first time looking at a horse campsite. And then on the way home, I stopped at this really cute Coffee on the River, I think in Lansing, Iowa. And it was just this really nice, kind of classier cafe. I had a nice snack, had a nice coffee, super refreshing after being outside for the night and day. And I really enjoyed the ride back. You know, driving through Iowa in that area felt very like the Midwest. Lots of flat roads, lots of flat farmland, roads that just go on forever. Not all the roads were paved. So that was like classic, my stereotype of the Midwest experience. And overall, I'm happy I went on the trip. I'm really glad. And it turned out really well. And it was a lot within, you know, a day and a half. But I'm glad I took advantage of my time in Wisconsin. Thanks for watching, and check back next week for another video.